In 1981, a child vanished in daylight, and the forest has kept its secrets ever since. Something moved where the light should have been safe. This is a place that keeps its own counsel and its own absences. Listen. The woods remember in different ways. We will follow what the records tell us, and then the murmurs that follow. Be quiet. The forest is patient, and it is hungry for the sound of footsteps it can claim. This is where David's story begins, and where the world we know ends. He walked only 90 feet to fetch candy, just 90 feet. He walked only 90 feet to fetch candy. His mother looked for him moments later. The car was locked, the candy gone, and so was David. Then the ordinary day splintered. A mother's minutes stretched into an eternity, no footprints that led away, no calls answered back from the trees, only absence, immediate, impossible. And then the search began. They searched with helicopters, bloodhounds, and hundreds of volunteers. They shouted for him until their throats were raw. Bloodhounds followed scents that dissolved into nothing. Helicopters beat the air overhead searching for a sign. No tracks, no cries, no sign. It was as if the forest had swallowed him whole. They tore the day apart looking for what belonged to it. The photograph became the center of a new ritual, the looking. Sometimes there was a sound, a twig, a half-remembered laugh, and then nothing. The search moved like a tide, combing every predictable place. And yet the forest kept its stillness, unspooling the human urgency into silence. They looked until the light betrayed them, and the searchers went home with questions. The forest had kept its secret, for the moment. Some spoke of duendes, spirits said to lure children deeper. Others swore they heard faint laughter in the pines, though the woods stood empty. And one searcher claimed to see stairs rising from the earth, gone the moment he looked back. Stories began to gather where facts could not reach. The forest returns attention for attention, and sometimes it keeps what it is given. Names and explanations were offered to fill the empty places. Duendes, phantom callers, the old country warnings, all folded into the retelling. People began to ask, could this be a place where stories are made true? He swore the stairs rose, a geometry of the earth he'd never seen before. And the people who search for the missing sometimes bring their own ghosts with them. Folklore is not merely story here. It is a lens through which absence is seen. They began to speak in softer tones of things that moved in the corner of the eye. Here the human becomes a small thing among larger patterns, and the woods answer in their own voice, a voice older than our names. Days became weeks, weeks became months. Hope drained away, replaced by silence, the kind of silence that clings like fog, heavy and endless. A landscape that once held play becomes an archive of absence. They pinned photos to boards and to memory alike, searching for continuity. Time worked as an eraser, and the earth hid what it had once shown. Days without answers reshaped the shape of a life. The ordinary rhythms return elsewhere, while one family remains held in an earlier hour. They lit candles to keep the dark at bay. The dark would not be kept. Silence becomes a presence, heavier than any noise. 9 months later, his remains were found in a ravine already searched, a place they had already combed, a place that had been empty before. His shoes, untouched, arranged, almost deliberate, as though someone or something had set them down. Men in gloves turned the scene into paperwork, and paper can only say so much. A place that had been searched now became a receptacle of unanswered questions. The medical report would later say exposure, but paper and cold language do not remove the strangeness of arrangement. They catalogued what they could. They could not catalogue the how. Objects became evidence and memory at once. A ravine that had been searched before somehow held back what it had taken. At the end, the official word could not fill the empty space the boy had left. A boy returned to us only an outline, and the outline refused to answer the question of distance. The coroner said exposure. Others whispered of predators. Official reports offer one vocabulary for loss. Those who know the land speak of predators and exposure as truths. A mountain lion could account for distance and suddenness in some cases. But the distance, the lack of tracks, the arrangement of objects resist simple explanation. Stories began to fill the interstices. Strange lights, calls that mimic children, things that do not fit natural law. Something darker, some pattern older than our maps, was suggested by what could not be accounted for. The geometry of the case, where he was last seen and where he was found, made some explanations uneasy. These are the small details that do not reconcile with a single story. When evidence can be read more than one way, the mind supplies myth and fear in equal measure. Theories multiplied like shadows at dusk. Fact and folklore braided together, each feeding the other. To this day, hikers are warned. If you hear a child calling in the forest, don't answer. They say it isn't a child at all, but something older, patient, and hungry. Warnings move through the region like a second geography. Some treat them as superstition, others as precaution born of hard experience. Memory becomes a landscape marked by things you do not want to test, and so the stories persist, not only as explanation, but as instruction. They fold the past into everyday practice and pass the warning forward. The sounds remain a test. Is it memory, cruelty, or something else? Whatever it is, it has changed the map for those who walk here. Listen to the warnings. They are the fragile line left between you and the dark. He walked just 90 feet. 90 feet that led him out of this world and into the hands of whatever waits in the trees. Remember him. Walk the edge with care.